Hello friends, welcome to day 3 of Unit 4, Week 1. Today we are going to learn to determine the meaning of phrases as they are used in the text so that we can distinguish literal from non-literal language. So let's talk about literal and non-literal language. Literal language or literal meanings are when the text means exactly what it says. So for example, she tried the new recipe Mom made and it left a bad taste in her mouth. This literally means that whatever recipe or food she tasted was disgusting and it left a bad taste in her mouth. That's exactly what it means, okay? Non-literal language or non-literal meanings are when the text doesn't mean what it says. So for example, she told her friend a secret and her friend told everyone on the playground. It left her with a bad taste in her mouth. This doesn't mean that there was an actual bad taste in the person's mouth. What this means is that she was left with a bad impression after she told her friend a secret and her friend told everybody else. If you can relate, this would make you feel kind of upset, right? So this is kind of what that means. It left a bad taste in her mouth. It's saying that it left a bad impression with her. It left, an uncomfortable feeling. So today we are going to learn about a type of non-literal language, and that is hyperboles. So hyperboles are an extreme, non-literal over-exaggeration. Authors and speakers use hyperboles to emphasize a point. So what I want you to remember about hyperboles is that it is an extreme exaggeration, okay? And if you want to see different examples of hyperboles, please watch this video. It's really good. I really love this video, okay? Let's look at our directions for today. Today we are going to reread paragraphs 2 to 7 to identify examples of hyperbole in the text. We are going to explain how we know each one is an example of hyperbole, and we're going to interpret its meaning. So as you can see, here is the chart where we're going to explain what the hyperbole, why it's a hyperbole, and what they actually meant by it, what the author meant by it, okay? So the first thing we need to do is go back to our story, Cinderella's Very Bad Day, and we are going to read paragraph 2. Please have your pencil ready because we are going to underline hyperboles. All right, paragraph 2. Next, I ran to add kindling to the fires in their rooms. I would not have heard the end of it if my stepsister's large, ugly feet touched a cold floor. There was no kindling in either room, so I had to run to the backyard to gather up twigs and sticks. Thorns cut my fingers and briars stuck in my hair. Okay, so in the second sentence in paragraph 2, Cinderella says she would not have heard the end of it if her stepsister's feet touched a cold floor. This is an example of a hyperbole, so I'm going to underline this where it says, I would not have heard the end of it. This is an exaggeration, a hyperbole, because Cinderella's stepsisters might complain if their feet get cold, but it's an exaggeration for Cinderella to say she would not have heard the end of it. That would mean that they would complain about it forever, and that's just not possible. By using this hyperbole, Cinderella makes the point that her stepsisters would have been very upset if Cinderella hadn't taken care of the fire. So that is our first hyperbole. Let's read paragraph 3 and look for a different hyperbole, an exaggeration. My older stepsister demanded soft-boiled eggs. My younger stepsister yelled for medium-boiled eggs. I flew to the kitchen to make their breakfast. I toil around the clock. Okay, so in this paragraph, there's 2 hyperboles, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about the very last sentence where it says, I toil around the clock. The word toil means to work very hard. So she's saying, I work very hard around the clock. This is an exaggeration because Cinderella does not work around the clock. That means she would work 24 hours without stopping. And that is just not possible because sometimes she has to stop and go to the bathroom or stop and go to sleep, right? She would not be able to function if she actually worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what she meant by this hyperbole is that she works a lot. That's what was meant with this hyperbole, okay? So now I'm going to let you reread paragraph 3, and you are going to read paragraph 7 as well, and you are going to find the 2 hyperboles left in the story. So please pause the video, read paragraph 3, paragraph 7, and find 2 hyperboles. Then we will continue. Now that we have read the rest of the story and we have underlined our hyperboles, we're going to come back to our slides and we are going to fill out our chart. Okay, so let me show you how we're filling out this chart. So the first thing we need to do is write the hyperbole and the paragraph we found it on. So the first one I found was in paragraph 2, and it was where she said, I would not have heard the end of it. So that's what I wrote right here. Paragraph 2, I would not have heard the end of it. What makes this a hyperbole? What makes this an exaggeration? Well, I said this is an exaggeration because the stepsisters couldn't complain forever. That's just not possible. Like I said, the stepsister would have to stop sometimes. She would have to take a break. What point does the hyperbole make? Why did they include this hyperbole? What was Cinderella trying to actually say? What does she mean by it? Well, what was meant was that the stepsisters would have been very upset. Okay? Now here's the fun part. The fun part is adding an image of what the hyperbole would look like if it was actually literal. Okay, so I added a picture of a very old Cinderella and a very old stepsister, because if she really complained forever, they would be really old, and stepsister number 1 would still be complaining, and it says Cinderella's like, get over it already, and the stepsister many years later is like, I still cannot believe my feet had to touch the cold floor. Okay, so that is my image that I inserted. Now let's do the second one that I underlined, and that was found on paragraph 3, and it was, I toil around the clock. What makes this a hyperbole? Why is it an exaggeration? Well, it's an exaggeration because Cinderella doesn't actually work 24 hours a day. Sometimes she sleeps. She has to stop, right? She has to stop either to go to the bathroom, to eat, or to sleep, or else she would not survive. What point does the hyperbole make? What was meant by her saying, I toil around the clock? She meant that she works a lot. That's what she really meant. Now my picture I included was this right here. Day 1 of working around the clock. She's, Cinderella, and this is what she looks like on day 5, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She is deteriorating. Okay, so now you are going to go to the next slide, and you're going to do the same thing. So tell me the hyperbole you found on paragraph 3. I want you to type it right here. Tell me, what makes this a hyperbole? Why is it an exaggeration? And what was the point that the author wanted to make with that hyperbole? What was meant by it? And then you get to add an image of what we would see if the hyperbole were actually real. Okay, so one way you can insert an image is by going to Insert, you go to Image, and then you search the web. So here you can choose the picture you want, and now you can drag it, and then you just make it smaller so it can fit. So yeah, be creative. Go ahead and add whatever image you would want. And you can even insert like little text bubbles to show them talking. So you would go to Insert again, go to Shape, and then where it says Call Out, choose the one that you want. You just open it and you can make the characters talk if you want kind of like a little comic. So really, you get creative. You add the image of what the hyperbole would look like. Okay, do that for the one that you found on paragraph 3, paragraph 7, and that is it for today. Thank you.